It's 9:05 at 97.5 Glory FM. Welcome once again to the Saturday Morning Sports Show. And hi, everyone. Welcome to the Saturday Morning Sports Show. Mike Wofford live from the NGPG Sports Center at 97.5 Glory FM as we bring you the latest in local high school, college, and pro sports here on the local level until 10 o'clock every Saturday morning. A lot to talk about this morning. We've got high school basketball entering the second season next week with the region playoffs. We've got high school baseball, which started this week. We also have NFL football to talk about, also college football and more, and college basketball, because we bring you college basketball this afternoon at 3:15 live from Norfolk, Virginia, as Old Dominion plays host to Georgia State here on the Georgia State Sports Network. All that coming up this morning on the Saturday Morning Sports Show. Let's tip things off this morning with high school basketball. Last night on 97.5 Glory FM, we ended the regular season with a big crosstown matchup in the Battle of Highway 60 with Chestatee and North Hall. The Trojans had beat the War Eagles back on January 20th at North Hall in a doubleheader sweep. But last night, it was all Chestatee in the girls' ball game. Allie J. Bull leading the way for the Lady War Eagles as they defeat North Hall 67-54. In the boys' ball game, it was a thriller as Allen Griffin's War Eagles played their best ball game of the season, and they say their best for last as they defeat North Hall 71-69, upsetting the Trojans last night. Only the third region win of the season for the War Eagles. They had beaten Johnson both times this regular season, but then last night was the biggest win for them as they get ready for the second season coming up next week. Of course, we'll bring you all the details right here on 97.5 Glory FM. Results from last night. First off, in Region 6 AAA play, Chestatee sweeping by North Hall. It was Lumpkin County winning the girls and boys games against White County last night, with the Lumpkin County girls upsetting White County in the girls' ball game last night. I'll tell you more about that a little bit later on. It was Pickens sweeping by Dawson County, and also Greater Atlanta Christian, GAC. They defeat Johnson last night. In Region 8 AAA play, it was Cherokee Bluff sweeping by West Hall. Also, it was East Hall over Monroe area last night. And Jefferson splits their games with the Oconee County teams, with the girls from Oconee County, the number one team in the region, winning, and the Jefferson boys winning their game from last night. It's time now for region playoff action, and I was given bad information last night. I'll apologize for that. In Region 6 AAA play, here is the correct information. Boys will play on Monday in the first round. Girls will play on Tuesday. They'll take Wednesday off. School is out here locally on Monday and Tuesday. So Region 6 AAA will play the boys' first round games on Monday. Girls will play on Tuesday. They'll take Wednesday off. Then they'll switch to Chestatee High for the semifinals on Thursday with 4 games. And then just the championship games being played on Friday. In Region 8 AAA, they will play the first round games coming up on Monday. Then they'll play the semifinals on Wednesday, with the finals being played on Friday, with the semifinals and finals on Wednesday and Friday being played from the Jefferson Arena in Jefferson. Here's the schedule that I know of right now. Coming up on Monday in 8 AAA play, they'll play the games at Cherokee Bluff because the Bears finished as the number 3 boys team, and so they'll play host to the first round games. It'll be the number 3 versus 6 seeds, 4 versus 5 seeds. They'll start things off coming up at 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock on Monday with school out. They'll play at 3 o'clock on Monday with the 4 and 5 girls seeds playing. East Hall will take on Monroe area at 3 p.m. on Monday. And then the number 4 and 5 seed boys teams will play. That'll be Oconee County and Monroe area at 4:30. At 6 p.m. on Monday from Cherokee Bluff is number 3 and 6 girls, and that will be East Hall and going up against West Hall. So take it back. Jefferson, I should say. Jefferson will play West Hall. Pardon me. Jefferson will play West Hall at 6. And the girls from East Hall play Monroe area at 3. So it's East Hall and Monroe area girls at 3. Girls from Jefferson take on West Hall at 6. And then the boys from Cherokee Bluff play West Hall in a rematch of last night's game. They'll play on Monday. They'll play that one at 7:30 coming up on Monday from Cherokee Bluff. And Chuck Graham standing by. He'll correct me if I made any mistakes there coming up in that series. In Region 6 AAA play On Monday, they'll play the games at Lumpkin County as the boys in Lumpkin County win the three-way tie for first place in that region, and they will be the hosts for the region first-round games there at the Lincoln Trail Gym in Dahlonega at Lumpkin County High coming up on Monday. Now, in that series right there, Lumpkin County finished number one in the tiebreaker with Pickens and with GAC, still waiting to find out who will be the number 2 seed, waiting to hear from the director of the region tournament there at Chestatee High, Dave Bishop, a little bit later on to find out what we can find out about that one. But right now, number 1 we know will be Lumpkin. 2 and 3 is Pickens and GAC. Number 4 seed and number 5 seed will be North Hall and Dawson County. And then the number 6 seed in the tournament will be White County. 7 will be Chestatee. 8 will be Johnson. And so let's go from the late game to the early game. The late game will feature Lumpkin County playing host to Johnson. And then the second game, the game be that one before the Lumpkin County game, will feature either Pickens or GAC against the Chestatee boys. So Chestatee will play the next last game of the day. Looking at that one at 6:30. I think it's right. I think we're going to play it also, I think, at 4 coming up on Monday. So let's look at that. That would be a 7 o'clock game coming up on Monday. So 7 o'clock, we'd have the Chestatee boys. They would take on either Pickens or GAC. Either GAC or Pickens would play the 5:30 game, and they would go up against White County. We'll start things off at 4 o'clock. Right now, the way I understand it, on Monday, it would be North Hall and Dawson County. Winners would go on to Chestatee coming up on Thursday with the semifinals, and then the finals being played from the home of the War Eagles coming up on Friday. All of that to get things started with the region playoffs. Up next, we'll talk with Chuck Graham. We'll talk all about that and more here on the Saturday Morning Sports Show on 97.5 Glory FM.
If you need on-time expert plumbing service, Conditioned Air Systems is here for you. Our plumbers deliver the highest quality service in North Georgia 24 hours a day and 7 days a week. We've been North Georgia's source for elite residential and commercial services since 1983. Our licensed plumbers offer services for installation and repairs of pipes, water heaters, septic lines, and sump pumps. Choose Conditioned Air Systems for quality service and unmatched knowledge for your plumbing needs.
Injuries are never planned and often happen after hours or over the weekend. That's why NGPG Orthopedic and Sports Medicine offers the Black and Blue Walk-In Clinic for injured athletes every Monday morning in their offices in Gainesville, Brazelton, Beaufort, Houston, and Jefferson. No need to call. Just walk right in between 8:30 and 11:30 on Monday mornings. And one of their sports medicine and orthopedic doctors will be there to help identify, treat, and care for your injury. To learn more, you may visit ngpg.org/blackandblue.
Here I am on the road again, ready to pick up the kids from school, go by the grocery store, and do all the things a busy mother does. It's because I just left North Hall Tire and Wheel, where they made sure I was ready to go. They put on a fresh set of tires, checked the brakes, and even the battery. I know I can trust Mike and Matt and the guys at North Hall Tire and Wheel. They have everything you need, all the name brand tires at the best prices, and the service you need. They're on Cleveland Highway in Gainesville, so give them a call at 770-297-5308.
Ever feel like your house is just missing a little something? Custom window treatments can go a long way to making your house feel like a home. Call Millie's Drapery and Decorating today for the best in custom drapery, blinds, shades, and shutters. We can schedule for one of our designers to come out to your home, take measurements, and give you an estimate right there on site. That's Millie's Drapery and Decorating, 1732 Cleveland Highway in Gainesville, or give us a call at 770-532-3819.
97.5 Glory FM.
And back on the Saturday Morning Sports Show on 97.5 Glory FM. We're talking high school basketball to start things up. Let's go to our basketball expert, Chuck Graham, the head boys basketball coach at West Hall. He's on the road this morning. Hey, Chuck.
Hey, how's it going, Mike? How are you?
I'm blessed. How about you?
I'm blessed, man. I'm blessed. Actually, I tell you, I headed down to Jefferson for our region meeting. You know, we'll decide, we'll talk about the region tournament. We'll actually have conversations about, all region teams, player of the year, and then we will lock down the schedule for next year. Well, actually for the next 2 years. So, good day, man. Good day.
All right, so am I right about the schedule? I hope you heard me talking about before then. You're going to play on Monday at Cherokee Bluff, and you've got Bluff again, right?
Yes, yeah, we played Bluff again last night. They shot the ball extremely well. Of course, we didn't have our top player, our top scorer, Troy Smith, who's on a recruiting visit right now. But he'll be back Monday. So we're looking forward to going there and competing. But yeah, the region tournament will be at Cherokee Bluff on Monday.
Well, it tells you about how competitive this region is. We have the top three teams there with Jefferson and East Hall and Cherokee Bluff fighting for it.
Yeah, I mean, night in and night out, man. You just never know. Monroe upset Bluff on Tuesday, which flip-flopped East Hall and Cherokee Bluff for that bye. That bye, we had two byes. Jefferson, of course, is undefeated in the region. They get the first bye. And then East Hall secured the second bye last night by beating Monroe at home on senior night. So, yeah, man, tough region. I mean, we struggled, but, I mean, we played Jefferson to a two-point game, which is the top team in the region. So, anything could happen. And, again, we've got a lot of good coaches in this region and a lot of good players. And, even though through the struggles, we've learned a lot, and I just love competing against these guys.
All right, explain to me what I was told, that the top two seeds during the regular season automatically get a state berth. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I mean, and again, it makes the regular season mean something.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, so, I mean, I actually love it. Now, so, yeah, Jefferson and East Hall they're in the state playoffs. And they will play on Wednesday of next week for the semifinals of the region. And then Friday will be the region championship. Now, on Monday is basically what we call the play-in, where Monroe area will play Oconee for a playoff spot, and then we'll play Bluff for a playoff spot. So, exciting times, man, and, we're so familiar with each other in this region, and that's another part of it. Like, you just never know what could happen.
All right, so tell me about the standpoint of the region tournament. With the top two teams in the regular season, I love the fact that the regular season means something, Chuck. So they get to go to the state tournament, but now this PSR stuff going on, what kind of chance does, say, a number 4, 5, or 6 seed have in this thing about going to the state tournament?
It may be close. And, of course, it's not like in years past where you just take the top 4 seed.
Right.
Because every game matters now because of your power ranking. So it could very well happen. I think even our region with that Oconee-Monroe game is going to be really, really interesting.
Oh, absolutely.
It's going to be really interesting. And I think the same thing on the girls' side, because Oconee, I think, has played the best, but you never can count out the defending champs, Cherokee Bluff, that, played at a high level last night against us, West Hall, on the girls' side. So, again, Jefferson's a 3 seed, and Jefferson's a really, really solid, well-coached team.
Well, think about this, Chuck, is that if Jefferson wins their game against Robbie Bailey's team, which they're expected to win, they're on, coming up on Monday there at Cherokee Bluff, then they would play Cherokee Bluff. Maybe Jefferson, Cherokee Bluff in the first game coming up on Wednesday from Jefferson to play in the championship.
Yeah, man.
How about that one?
And that's what I'm saying, man. With it, on both sides, boys and girls, it's going to be some interesting matchup. And I think, Mike, at the end of the day, it's all preparing you for a run for the state playoffs. So whenever you face a tough region, or you got evenly matched teams, it just prepares you for that next level.
All right, so I've got to ask you, they're going to change things next year. Could this be the last year of a region tournament?
I'm not sure, man, because, just like you said about power rankings, actually, it could actually hurt you sometimes playing in a region tournament. So I hope it doesn't go away, because it gives, teams like ourselves who may have struggled and hadn't found themselves later in the season, it does give you an opportunity to actually make the
argument is if you're going to do a top 32 teams, let's go to back in the old days. You know, when I first got started in this business, there were 8. Then we went to 16 teams. You know, and you knew you had the region champions. Make the region more important, and just have the region champions again go to a state tournament. You know.
Yeah. And I'm gonna date myself, but when I was in high school, you know, you took the top 2 teams from every year. It was 16, and we played everything in majors.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't at the state playoffs, it wasn't a home court advantage. I think probably when it went to 32, they had to, just because of logistically, you couldn't do that. But we played everything in majors. I mean, from the first round of the playoffs to like the state championship game.
Yes, sir.
So, I like having more teams involved because, you know, in basketball, and it's like in college too. I think it's different in the NBA, but all you have to do is be better than that team one night. You know, in the NBA court, they play series, so the better team usually comes out and win. But if you can just be better than that team that day or that night, you can actually get yourself, you know, in the playoff spot, and not less in the playoff spot, but you actually, once you get to the second round, anything can happen, and the team could get hot and actually, you know, end up in the Final Four.
Well, how about case in point last night, our broadcast game with Chestatee defeating North Hall, 71-69 boys play.
Yeah, man, what a win. You know, my friend Alan Griffin, man, a big-time win. And, you know, and I think North Hall just has to regroup. You know, Jarvis, again, he does a great job, but really, really happy for Alan.
Well, if you saw what they did, you know, I saw them play last Friday against Dawson County. Played a great first half. Then the second half, Todd Cottrell's team just laid it on them. And so if they could play 4 quarters, they could do. You know, I was talking with Dave Bishop between ball games there, and said that's what. And we said that happened. They played 4 of the best quarters they played all year. And he said, okay, you say the best for last. You know, you want to play your best basketball this time of year, and who knows what might happen next week.
Exactly. I mean, and it's funny because that momentum is a strange thing, man. And when teams, sometimes seniors, and I think this is what happened to our group. Sometimes the senior realizes this is the end.
Yep.
And you have another level of focus and concentration, and then you're able to hold other players accountable because you don't want your high school career to end. And once you get that connection and those guys start playing for each other, that's when special things start to happen. And you just never know when that may click. And, you know, and Dave's right. And Dave Bishop's been around a long time, great football coach. He's been around a long time, so he understands that. And you want to play your best. You want to be trending upward during the latter part of the season.
Well, you think about like last night, Chestatee was playing possibly their final game there at home there at Chestatee because they're playing against either Pickens or GAC coming up on Monday at Lumpkin County. At neutral court could play a big part of it. But again, how much did you give up in that game last night, just, you know, mentally and physically from that standpoint? But you look at those seniors, you look at Carson Hunt, you've seen him play. And he hit, I think, 5 3-pointers a game last night. And Nasir Dixon just led the way for them in the second half. And just everything was clicking. And it came down, I kept stressing about defense, and North Hall couldn't stop them.
Yeah. And which, again, those teams are so familiar with each other. And that's where I think coaching, you have to make the adjustment. But, you know, players make plays. And because I think Nasir Dixon is probably one of the most underrated players in Hall County.
Yep.
And if you can get other guys making shots along with his, you know, athleticism and ability to create, it could cause problems.
Hey, would you see him in Troy playing the same team?
That'd been awesome. That'd been awesome.
And
you know, both of those kids are tough kids. They have high basketball IQ, which they understand, you know, what's going on with the defense, understand how to make reads, which I think is kind of like a lost art in today's game, especially in high school. What I see when kids come into West Hall, I'm pretty sure coaches see this. They're super skilled, but that skill may not necessarily translate to game time decisions. You know, because the skill stuff is awesome, but if you can't translate that into like making a decision in game time speed, then that's what we have to continue as coaches. You know, go back and teach it, and that's what we're here for. But talk about Nasir and Troy. And I've seen Troy's development since the 10th grade, and that's been what I'm most proud about him, is understanding what the defense is doing and then having a counter for it.
We'll talk about that for a moment, and how important the defense is. And people just downplay that so much. They want to see you score as many points as possible. And I remember the late Glenn Cassell said, well, I just want to score one more point than the other team does. And so look at, the defense and how important it is to stopping somebody. Like last night, Gunner Spain had, we said, a quiet 20 points. And 20 points is really something special. It was like, okay, what happened to Gunner last night after you heard about him scoring 54 back on Tuesday?
Yes, man. What an awesome performance to score 54. And again, he's that type of shooter, and he's that type of scorer. So when I saw that, I wasn't really surprised. Now I'm thinking that, and sometimes when you have a big scoring effort like that, sometimes your teammates start relying on you a little too much.
Yep.
And they kind of take a back seat instead of like stepping up and playing alongside us. So it could go both ways. When a kid has a big scoring night like that. But I mean, can't take anything away from him, because I mean that's a lot of points, and he had to score them. So. Hey,
final thing. Let's talk about college and pro sports right quick. What shape are the Hawks in right now? There are 4 games below 500. Did you watch the NBA All-Star game?
I saw some highlights last night of, they had the future star. I think they don't call it stars anymore, but I saw that little highlight.
Yep.
But I really think the Hawks are in good shape. It's going to take a while, and I don't want the fans or the people that back them to get like really bent out of shape about the record right now, because they did acquire a lot of new pieces.
Yep.
And anybody that follows basketball or any sport, it takes time for all that to gel. And I think the Hawks actually have the right pieces. Now it's just like, look, let's get these guys playing together, and then you can make a run, towards playoffs and try to stay out of that play-in game.
Yeah, that's the wildest thing right there, that playing game with the NBA. And also, final thing, that we got college basketball today. Well, I'll tell you what, the Georgia basketball team, Tech basketball team, Georgia State basketball team, Georgia Southern basketball team, all suffering right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough stretch, especially in the SEC. I know Georgia just had a tough game earlier this week against Florida.
Yes.
And you talk about playing well right now. I mean, Florida's playing, I think, probably the best basketball they played all year, and they got a tough matchup with Kentucky today. So in the SEC, a 2-game losing streak is basically, look, I just got to get back, refocus, and play, because these teams are so talented. And I also look at the Big Ten. You're going through that same thing in the Big Ten, where Wisconsin has actually won 3 top 10 matchups, and they're not ranked.
Wow.
So I mean, they beat a Michigan State team last night, I think, by 20+. And then North Carolina, man, suffered a major injury. Kid from Atlanta, Caleb Wilson, he fractured his hand. So they have a big win against Duke last Saturday, and they play and they lose to Miami. But then it's a double whammy, because I think he's the best player. Now, of course, he's a lottery pick. He goes down with a fracture. Now, I think he'll be back, but what would that look like once he comes back and, you make you stretch towards March?
Well, it's definitely changed everything with things going in college basketball. It's just so tough to keep a team now with the transfer portal, NIL and that kind of thing. So we'll keep up with it. And I know it's just a 1-game season right now, so all the best coming up on Monday. We'll talk more about it later, okay?
Yes, sir, man. I appreciate you, man. God bless.
Appreciate it much. Thanks, buddy. Take care. Be blessed. That is Chuck Graham, the boys basketball coach at Westall, our basketball expert here on 97.5 Glory FM. We got much more for you coming up next. We'll talk football with Harper O'Bell and more on the Saturday Morning Sports Show on 97.5 Glory FM, with a live video stream on YouTube at Team Glory Sports.
This is Representative Lee Hawkins, your representative to the state legislature. I want to wish all the local athletes in our area the very best this season. Your team is very important to the success of our community, and I look forward to seeing you play this year and to see what you accomplish in the classrooms and in the community. I also look forward to serving you and your family in the state legislature. This message paid for by the committee to re-elect Lee Hawkins.
Chick-fil-A is a proud sponsor of Hall County Athletics and the great student athletes that compete on the fields, courts, tracks, and mats. Chick-fil-A was introduced into Hall County way back in 1987 at Lakeshore Mall. Throughout the years, they've been blessed to develop countless relationships with the schools here in Hall County. They're thanking everyone for their support of Chick-fil-A, which allows them to help support our schools, coaches, and student athletes. In Gainesville, you'll find Chick-fil-A on Jesse Jewell Parkway. Eat more chicken!
The landscape of North Georgia continues to change, and when you're looking to buy a home or land, you need someone who knows the real estate market. Turn to Chris McCall Realty. Chris has been serving the Hall and surrounding counties for 27 years. He specializes in residential real estate. Whether it's home, land, acreage, or farms, customer satisfaction is most important to him. Find out more today. Log online to McCallProperties.com.
97.5 Glory FM.
You're tuned to the Saturday Morning Sports Show, 97.5 Glory FM. One season ends, another one ends up starting. We talk about baseball started this week, high school basketball getting ready to end with a one-game season. We mentioned with the region playoffs coming up next week. Thanks for talking with Chuck Graham once again. Now we turn to our football expert with the season coming to an end with a big game last Sunday night. Harper LaBelle, the host of the podcast 100 Yards of Football, joining us here this morning. Hey there, Harper.
Good morning, Mike. Do you have a tear in your eye as you're talking about the end of the National Football League season and you can officially put 2025 to bed? Or is it, man, I can't wait for the draft. This is going to be great. I'm really excited. Which one, Mike?
I can't wait for this kickoff of high school football in August, so that's what I'm looking forward to. You know, for the first time in my life, I did not watch 1 second of that game. My wife did remind me, I did check on my phone one time, like probably the fourth quarter, see what the score was. And I think my wife watched a little bit of the alternate pregame, halftime show rather, and so it was like, to me there was no interest in it. How about you? Was there any interest in it for you?
Well, you're one of 132.4 million that they did watch the game. So you're one of the,
yes.
I don't know, whatever.
One of the few.
So it wasn't the best of all time, but it was pretty dang close. And at least at one point, it looked like the ratings were going to be high enough to, I think it's in the top 10, but I don't remember how it settles because they have certain periods that they measure.
Yes.
And I don't know if it's first, second, third, or fourth quarter that they use as the final number.
Yeah.
I don't know how they average it out, but no, I didn't see Bad Bunny. Actually, I did, but I was not. Because it was in Spanish, I didn't know what he was saying.
Exactly.
And if I listen to Glenn Beck, I don't want to know what he was saying. So there was some stuff that happened, but I think he had 117 million.
Oh my goodness.
Which is still more than he'll ever have, if you know what I'm saying.
Oh, sure.
That's great.
Sure.
But I don't know how you measure that if you're the network and you go, hey, we lost about 15 million people while he was on. That's not a good number. I don't know how it's measured, but
yeah, good point.
It is what it is. So the game itself was good enough to, 9-0 at the half. New England fans, I'm sure, were going, we don't look very good, but, we're only 2 scores out of this thing. We get a touchdown and a field goal. We actually have the lead. We can win it. And unfortunately, the second half proved that they just couldn't hold on to the football when they needed to.
All right, for the general fan, what's the best in your mind, in your expertise, the best thing for the league? Is it for a high-scoring affair with offense going up and down the field, or is it, just an old-fashioned football game when you see who's going to have the best defense?
Well, I was able to change my view to, instead of watching the ball or the guy that might get the ball, wide receiver, see his route, or the tight end, or, knowing pretty much what the blocking scheme is going to be on a run play, I just focused my attention on the defensive lines and see whether or not there was a blitzer coming up. And in Seattle's case, there were blitzers all over the place. And you mentioned the podcast that I do. Joey Klingscales, who's a former general manager, and he watches things a lot differently than I do. And he pointed this out. He goes, they brought guys up to the line of scrimmage, Seattle did, and they waited for Drake May, the quarterback of the Patriots, to make his call. Like, who's the mic? What's the strong side? What's the weak side? And when he made his call, then Seattle made their call to the opposite side of the field. So if Drake said strong right, which that's not what he's going to say, but he's going to indicate that the right, then Seattle brought pressure off the left side. So they knew that they would have more blitzers than blockers, and they would get to the quarterback more easily. So the cat and mouse game, from that perspective, is something that I was fascinated with, and I'm glad Joey brought that up.
Oh, yeah.
During the show. But, most fans are thinking, I don't, it's not that they don't know what to watch, but they need to be taught what they can anticipate happening based on what they're looking at right now, from a scheme pre-snap, at the snap, and then post-snap. So it's a really interesting way of observing the game. And to be real quick, Mike, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
It was more like a pitcher's duel if you were watching baseball.
There you go.
It's going to be one of those games where, gosh, if anybody just gets on base, will he be able to steal? Can they move the runner over? Every run, every possession was more important.
Mm-hmm. And with that, I like, because the average fans go watch the quarterback and watch the ball, the running back, or a receiver, and I'm amazed when you're saying that the defense has that much time, that quickly, they can make the adjustments. Like also battery mentioned with baseball, again, analogy, knowing maybe the pitcher's arm motion or how the ball comes out of his hand, all of a sudden you got a blink of an eye to make a decision.
Yeah, the hitting aspect of baseball is one of those ones that's why it's the toughest thing in any profession to do. Hitting a round ball with a round bat coming at you at 80, 90, 99 miles an hour, it's not easy. However, I think that first week of practice where Mike McDonald takes the Seahawks, they're private, they're in Seattle, and they start working on some things. And I think they got a real good feel for it, where the defense was, we like this. And they could make an instant or very quick decision at the snap of the ball, and everybody was in the right place at the right time. That's the thing that is the coordination of that with 11 guys isn't always easy. But with that defense and the way that things were called, and making it pretty simple, Mike, if they go left, we go right.
Yeah.
We're going to blitz from the right-hand side. If they go right, we're going to blitz from the left-hand side. They're just going to do things that are going to kind of be creative, and if it works, and it did, it could be a game changer, and that obviously was Seattle's, modus operandi, if you will. And let's give a little criticism to Josh McDaniel, the offense coordinator for New England, for not being able to figure that out quickly enough.
Mm-hmm.
And to have to deal with the first and second half problems that they did protecting their quarterback.
Yep, good point. So tell me about, in your mind, the story of Mike McDonald, the coach. That's a really outstanding story, him going to now be a Super Bowl coach, a winning coach.
As young as he is, absolutely. There was kind of a youth movement with LaFleur in Green Bay and McVay. And watch out. I'm just telling you right now, Sean McVay may end up being the best coach in NFL history. He's young enough right now, and what is he? He's winning 10 or 11 games a year.
Yes.
Madden, Coach John Madden, ended up with the Raiders for 10 years, and I think with playoffs, he had like 104 victories, which is halfway to what Shula ended. Well, Shula has like 270, but he was on pace to break anybody's record that existed. But he just burned out. He couldn't do it.
Yep.
Sean McVay's still young enough, and LaFleur is young enough, and McDonald is. These guys are all starting in their 30s,
yep. Mm-hmm.
which is what happened with Shula, and that's the only way that you can beat good teams with the cap. And, the story is they work hard, they have the players' attention, and what they're doing is working, and it's a great magic formula, and it ended up getting him his first Super Bowl win.
So we're talking with Harpo Bell every Saturday morning here during the football season on 97.5 Glory FM, and he's our expert and talks about football. So how excited are you about the draft?
Well, if I'm an Atlanta Falcon fan, I'm not at all, Mike. We don't get the pick until the second round. I think it's number 48.
Yes.
You're wanting to get at least 2 and maybe 3 guys in the top 50. That to me is the goal. If you can get 3 of the top 50 players on your team in a draft, that to me is a very, very successful upgrade to your system, whether it be a linebacker or safety or running back, wide receiver, doesn't matter. And the Falcons will only get 1 this year because of the goofy stuff that they did. They've got $26 million in cap room right now. I looked this morning. Kirk Cousins is a part of the team, and he's going to make $2.1 million this year. He was supposed to make $40. So the $37.9 million that he was due to make was transferred to next year's cap, which means he'll make $90 or $78 million next year. Excuse me, and that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. So they're just robbing Peter to pay Paul right now. Kyle Pitts is not on the roster.
Really?
So they've got some holes to fill, and $26 million doesn't leave a whole heck of a lot. And they've readjusted Jake Matthews' contract so many times, Mike. There's so many holes in that contract. It's like Swiss cheese. I love Jake, and he's been a great player, but gosh, he's been that one guy every year. Him and Grady Jarrett were the two guys. Okay, we're going to readjust their contract and just forward that money to a following year, and then we'll be able to get an extra $5, $8, $10 million in cap room to sign a player or two. They just don't seem to have that room right now. It could be a long off season.
So does it matter what the Falcons do with Kirk Cousins in? I keep hearing the word, a rumor, word, however you want to say it, they're going to cut him. Doesn't really matter,
well,
does it?
they were going to save a bunch of money to do that, but then you'd have to deal with the dead cap money. So
yes.
Here's the problem. We don't know when Michael Penix is coming back because of that knee injury.
Correct.
So you go from having no quarterbacks a couple years ago to having two quarterbacks to having just about no quarterbacks again this year, to at least having one. Right now you have one quarterback in training camp that you can go to, and with Penix's with knee, and I don't know, Mike. I don't know if he comes back in August or if he has to wait till October or November before he's ready to play. Right,
and that's the thing. You know about knees. You just can't even estimate what kind of time. They're talking about, well, he's doing this in rehab, but you know rehab in the world, that knee's just still got to do something.
Well, I agree, and I also say that it's a completely different case because this is not the first knee injury that Michael's
Correct.
had.
Yes, sir.
Right, going to college, he's had a couple, and the rehab for that and the 100% strength, maybe it's a minor injury and he's full go in June, but I don't know and you don't know, and we're not going to find out until they're ready to tell us. And right now they're not.
Well, you talk about the previous administration and what they did. You look at, right there, you knew that Michael Penix had a problem with his knee. You knew that James Pierce Jr. had some issues off the field, and then last weekend was a disaster for the franchise and really for James Pierce Jr. as an individual.
Yeah, if you watch the film, my son showed me the video. Someone had a camera, and they were showing him being arrested, if you will, and the fight that ensued,
Yes.
the wrestling match. It didn't look good.
No, it did not.
But the bond was $20,000, and if that tells a story at all, it means that they're both sides are listening. I don't know all of the story, what happened. There's some stalking involved and assault, felony assault against officers, and that's the big thing. That if he can say, hey, they roughed me up first and I was just defending myself, he has a much better chance of being able to defend himself in court. But I just don't know all those particulars at the moment, whether he was the instigator or whether the police were, but it's a bad sign for the Falcons. It really is. And, you get a guy that can really play, gets in some trouble. It happens. Unfortunately, it happens here to this team at this time. And with no draft picks, and not a whole lot of money, cap space, I don't know what they're going to do.
Well, the thing about him specifically is that, whether or not he will be convicted, whether or not he will serve jail time, but the NFL, the way they've done things in the past, just this smell of how bad this is that you think he's going to be suspended for, name the number of games this upcoming season. He's not going to play for the Falcons for a while.
Yeah, he'll have to pay his civic duty and try to get himself back out on the streets, if you will, or home, and then he'll have to pay an NFL duty, which means that it's going to cost you quite a bit of money, and they're going to make sure that you pay your penance, and that it never occurs again, and you don't want to embarrass yourself or the league or your team. So, yeah, there's all kinds of discipline, but as per usual, the NFL will refrain from doing anything till all the civic disrest is taken care of.
Well, but I heard, years ago with Tony Dungy, who had a program on our station back in the day about life, and is that you don't want to embarrass, you can't do anything to embarrass the league because they don't like that at all, and they're going to punish you for it.
Well, would any employer feel differently, Mike? Would you want me to do that if I were up at the
No,
station?
sir, you're gone. Sorry, I love you, but you're gone.
Carousing around, yeah.
Uh-huh.
But But usually guys like, if you're Lawrence Taylor, you're one of the best players to ever put a uniform on. They kind of made a little bit of room for you. Well, Lawrence, stop it. Don't do that again. And that's certainly a lot different than it is for, for most of.
Give you an example. Did I hear you mention Bad Bunny? Did I hear you may have heard too, that Ronald Acuna Jr., who appeared in that halftime show without getting permission from the Braves, has been suspended for the first game of spring training because there's a liability. And it's like, okay, can't do what I want to do. That kind of, you see what I'm talking about. That word liability means a lot to a team.
Yeah, I'm not sure contractually what Ronald Acuna's inhibitations would be.
Right.
I, for example, know that back when I was at Colorado State University, 1981, well, in the 1983 draft, they picked up this kid named John Elway in the first round for a trade with Indianapolis. And immediately there was a Woody Page article in the Denver Post about his contract and what was in it. And one of the stipulations was he will not be seen on a ski resort slope ever. He's not allowed to do that. And that's just one of the negative incentives that they have. And a lot of players in Denver they have to sign on the dotted line. Don't ski. Please. We don't, even if you're having fun, we don't want to have a Sonny Bono incident where you hit a tree or where you turn your knee the bad way. We know it can happen. And a lot of you guys are big and whatever. And you're not that athletic on a slope. It's different. So stay off. Well, it's funny. There's a guy named Keith Karts who was a center for them that went skiing during the off season. He twisted his knee up and his career was over. So it's different for everybody. But, there are certain incentives, and Bad Bunny Super Bowl halftime shows must have been in Ronald Acuna's contract for some reason or another, and now he can't play.
Yep. I think with Ron Gant in a motorcycle a few years ago for the Braves. Okay, be careful.
Yeah, don't go skydiving, please. Don't go swimming with sharks, and don't go on the halftime show with Bad Bunny. That's usually the way it is.
I think the opening of Wild World Sports, the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat from that standpoint. Okay.
Yeah, that poor skier lived in infamy for decades. When Jim McKay would announce that, one of the great things in my recollection of early television sports history.
Oh, I hope you enjoyed the Winter Olympics. You seen any of it so far?
A little bit, yeah. Unfortunately, I'm a LA Kings fan, and Doug Fiala, the he's a winger for the Kings, is playing for Switzerland, and he blew I think it's a career-ending injury. I'm horrible bend the wrong way, Joe Theismann type thing. It was just god awful. So I'm feeling for him. Obviously, Team Switzerland is minus a player, and I don't know if you can replace them once the tournament starts. I don't know what the alternate situation is. And then for his professional career, my goodness, and I'm a Kings fan. I love the team, and we're in a playoff hunt right now. And but yeah, the games. I guess our figure skaters fell twice, and that wasn't good. And Germany is starting to kick butt, and they're winning all the medals now. They're in first place.
Boo! Just say USA. Keep chanting, okay, friend. Hey, enjoy it, friend. I'm going to be gone next week. Maybe you're not going to hook up with each other after we get back. So in March, maybe talk about baseball, then get ready for the draft, that kind of thing. Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, look forward to it, Mike. Have a great time away, and look forward to talking to you later on. But yep, 2025 has been put to rest. So a good football season, whether it be in pro, college, or high school, and let's get ready for 2026.
Can't wait. Appreciate it much, Harper. Take care, man. See you soon.
Have a great day. Thanks, Mike.
Come see us. That is Harper LaBelle, our football expert here on 97.5 Glory FM, and we can talk baseball later on with him about his Dodgers and that much more right there when it comes to high school and more here on 97.5 Glory FM. Coming up next, we'll wrap things up. We'll talk basketball. We got a game this afternoon with Georgia State. Dave Cohen's coming up next here on 97.5 Glory FM.
If you need on-time expert plumbing service, Conditioned Air Systems is here for you. Our plumbers deliver the highest quality service in North Georgia 24 hours a day and 7 days a week. week. We've been North Georgia's source for elite residential and commercial services since 1983. Our licensed plumbers offer services for installation and repairs of pipes, water heaters, septic lines, and sump pumps. Choose conditioned air systems for quality service and unmatched knowledge for your plumbing needs.
Injuries are never planned and often happen after hours or over the weekend. That's why NGPG Orthopedic and Sports Medicine offers the Black and Blue Walk-In Clinic for injured athletes every Monday morning in their offices in Gainesville, Brazelton, Beaufort, Houston, and Jefferson. No need to call. Just walk right in between 8:30 and 11:30 on Monday mornings. And one of their sports medicine and orthopedic doctors will be there to help identify, treat, and care for your injury. To learn more, you may visit ngpg.org/black and blue. 97.5 Glory FM.
10 minutes until 10 o'clock. Let's talk basketball now. Again, this time the college scene. We go to Norfolk, Virginia, and Dave Cohen is joining us this morning. Hey, David.
Good morning, Mike. How are you?
Great, sir. How's the weather in Norfolk? You told me in Harrisonburg it was snowing. How's it in Norfolk?
Well, there was snow on the ground, but interestingly enough, it was temperatures in the mid to upper 40s and low 50s, so it really wasn't that biting cold over in Harrisonburg. Yesterday, it got into the, I'd say about the mid 40s, but as I look out to the skyline of Norfolk right now, the sun is shining brightly, and I'm guessing it's in the mid to upper 40s, maybe close to 50 here as well. And got out yesterday, took a nice long walk. And always enjoyed coming to Norfolk. And Georgia State will take on Old Dominion today, coming up at 3:30, 3:15 airtime here on the radio network, looking to get a split after a very, very tough overtime loss at James Madison on Thursday night. Old Dominion today, which is the final regular season road game, because Georgia State will come back to Atlanta tomorrow. And the final 4 games of the regular season will all be at the Convocation Center there in Atlanta.
And we'll have the game for you coming up next Saturday here on 97.5 Glory FM with that last Saturday home game of the season. And then we get ready for March Madness. And really, it starts now, doesn't it?
Sure does. For us, for Georgia State, every team in the Sun Belt, there are 5 regular season games to go, which all start today. And then we'll head down to Pensacola to the Bay Center for the Sun Belt Conference basketball tournament. The Sun Belt is a one-bid league, so you'll have 14 schools down in Pensacola once that tournament starts, but only one will advance, getting that automatic bid to the NCAA tournament. So, yeah, there's a lot going on right now. College baseball got underway yesterday. And now, you're coming down the stretch in college basketball, so a lot of seasons overlapping at this point. But right now we're focused on Georgia State basketball here at Old Dominion.
So I'll tell you what, one of my great friends who's an athletic director here locally said, and I think about you, he says, Mike, I'm always busy, but now I'm extremely busy. And for you, overlapping season,
Mike, I say this in quotations, I've been a proponent of, do we really need to start college baseball the second weekend in February? Let us enjoy college basketball. Let the folks who enjoy, the NBA and the National Hockey League, let them enjoy that. You got the Winter Olympics going on. I mean, college baseball plays 56 games. Is it necessary really to play 56 games plus their individual college, postseason tournaments? I mean, I don't understand why they don't push the college baseball season back at least to March 1 when, the college tournaments are going on, the college basketball tournaments are going on, and March Madness is really heating up as opposed to starting it, basically the second week in February, where in many, many instances, the weather is not conducive to playing college baseball.
Absolutely. So we say, preach it, Commissioner. So we need somebody who can say, okay, this is not working. Same thing we mentioned about you with basketball starting way back. You still got half dozen games of football to play, that kind of thing.
Yeah, the last 2 years for Georgia State basketball, our first game broadcast on the basketball side came with 7 football games to go, and this year it came with 6. Do we really need to start college basketball earlier and earlier every year? But, I'd say the same thing about the NBA and the NHL starting in October.
Yes, sir.
Let fans enjoy college football and the National Football League We don't need National Hockey League games in late October. We don't need the NBA in late October. Push the start of those seasons back.
But make it seasons. We have 4 seasons in the year. Make it seasons, okay? Let's have football in the fall, basketball, hockey in the winter, baseball in the spring, and for Major League Baseball in the summer. Let's just do it that way.
As you know, television and the media drive most of this.
Oh, yes.
So, the games are, it's really, is the dog wagging the tail or is the tail wagging the dog? Who is running all of this? And I put that out there. You know who's running this.
Exactly know who's doing
all
it.
of this is television programming, first and foremost, before they're actually just games being played. It's television programming.
And you've seen the quality of the game decrease also. You had some, as we were talking about earlier with Chuck Graham, who played basketball at Florida State, played a little ball in the CBA and in Europe, that kind of thing. And you see, I heard talked about even the other day, well, the league, the season's too long. The players have to have days off. And going like, okay, did you hear Jerry West and Bob Cousy and John Havlicek, even Larry Bird and Magic Johnson talking about having to take days off? No. Michael Jordan take a day off? No, it didn't happen. But these guys, we just got to take a day off. We're just so tired. And then you see what college basketball doing. The many games that y'all play now, just almost like play your conference and get it over with,
Well, college basketball's game total number really hasn't changed as much. It's all in and around 30 games.
Yep.
Per season. But I've always thought that 56 college baseball games plus the tournament is way too many. I mean, because so many of those games in the preseason are just games that nobody's really interested in. It's almost like we're just filling the schedule with games to have games to play when no one really cares about the game itself other than those that are participating.
Bryce Rumdow had a good day yesterday. They beat New Orleans to start things off. That's at least good news for him. And for Jonas Hayes, really a much-needed win today after losing in overtime to James Madison back on Thursday.
Yeah, the last 9 games have been kind of crazy. They had a 4-game winning streak, and now they've lost 5 straight. And the last 3 have all been 1 or 2 point losses. The other night at James Madison, the loss there in overtime in a game that if Georgia State had just done what they're best at, which is hitting free throws, the game probably never would have gone to overtime, and we would have gotten out of Harrisonburg, with the win. And then you back it up to the loss to Northern Illinois in the Sun Belt MAC Challenge, lost that game 75-74. Did lose to Troy 74-63, but then you go back to that South Alabama game, 69-67. So 3 of the last 4 games that have gone into the loss column have been by 2 or 1 point.
Wow.
And that's the frustrating part of it because somewhere during the course of that game, whether it was a free throw, whether it was a missed tip-in, whether it was a foul, whatever it was, teetering on the brink of whether it goes into the win or the loss column. Unfortunately, in 3 of the last 4 games, the teetering has gone not in Georgia State's direction, but in the loss column.
All right, we'll get ready for it today. We'll start things off with the pregame show at 3:15, and I'll be running the controls this afternoon, 3:30 tip from Norfolk as Old Dominion takes on Georgia State. Enjoy the day. Let's get a W, okay?
All right, Mike, thank you.
Look forward to seeing you then. And that is Dave Cohen here on 97.5 Glory FM. Coming up, we'll have basketball for you hopefully coming up next week. Looking to see how the schedule is going to work for us with the region basketball tournaments coming up on Monday with the 6 AAA tournament at Cherokee Bluff. The 8 AAA, one more time, the 6 AAA tournament will be at Lumpkin County. The 8 AAA tournament will go on coming up on Monday from Cherokee Bluff. And the schedule is both boys and girls action coming up on Monday. Stay tuned here at 97.5 Glory FM as we'll bring you the very best local sports coverage. That's the Saturday Morning Sports Show here on 97.5 Glory FM.